Yo, what's going on? What's going on? What is going on? A whole lot, apparently. Um, yeah, come on in. As always, do me a favor, type five in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me just fine before I get started with everything. And of course, if you don't mind, share the video. Let me do the same thing. I'm gonna give us a couple of seconds before we get started, or a couple of minutes before we get started. Video. All right, there I go. All right, all right, all right. So what's going on? How's everybody doing today or tonight? How's everybody doing? Y'all good? Y'all staying safe? Hopefully you all have been incorporating the things we talk about at the end of this video, which that is the most important thing. All right. So I know I'm talking about things related to COVID because I have to. It's infringing on a lot of our civil liberties, our rights. And once again, you got to push back into things that you uh, feel is a incredible overreach. So I have to make these videos because there's blatant things that are just being completely missed. A lot of us are not asking questions. A lot of us are not being exposed to different perspectives. And so my job here is not to tell you what to think or how to think. It's just to ask that you think. And I ask that you do that thinking after being exposed to different information that you may be exposed to on a daily basis. A lot of us are pretty much in a group think right now. We're just being exposed to the same old, COVID fear, the shame, the vax, the unvax. A lot of us are being exposed to this civil war essentially amongst the citizens, the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. Which, if I was a evil, devious person, that's exactly what I would want. I would want you two groups to fight each other. That way, no one pays attention to me. That's exactly what I would want. I would want you to fight each other over mask versus no mask. I would want you to fight versus social distancing versus no social distancing, vaccinated versus unvaccinated. I would want you to keep that focus on each other, and I would want you two to just fight each other while I go ahead and do whatever it is I'm going to do. So that's what I would want. Not saying that that's going on, but I'm just saying that that's what I would want. So I have to have these conversations, and I just ask that you think. Okay, think for yourself. Ask yourselves these questions, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're all the way on that side or all the way on that side, whichever side you're on. Just ask yourself these questions and be honest. Does it make sense? Is everything lining up? Should this be done? Should I be for this? Will this affect my kids? Will this affect my grandkids? Um, are we asking for something that we may regret in 2 years, 3 years? We need to be thinking long term. I understand that there's a lot of fear. I understand there's a lot of anxiety. I understand all those things. I get it. We're in a very, you know, this is unknown for a lot of us. But although it's unknown, be very, very careful with what you ask for and what you allow to happen. Okay. So I want to make sure I got that out the way. None of this is medical information. At the end of the day, do your research, make your own decisions for yourself and your family. What I do want you to take is the information that I'm presenting at the end of the video, which is the lifestyle habits. That's what I really want you to grab. I understand I'm going to talk about what's going on right now with the NBA. I'm going to talk about COVID, but don't miss what's at the end because that's where you're going to learn how to radically improve your health. And it's very straightforward and simple. And quite frankly, they should be doing this. The ones that are telling you to get the vaccines, like they should be doing this. So, Nikki, what's going on? Welcome, Nikki. Salam, welcome, welcome. What's going on, everybody? So, how's everybody doing tonight? Y'all good? Y'all good? What's going on? All right. So, let me start this whole thing off by you guys see the title. Um, NBA players say no to getting the vaccine. So, let me read this article that kind of gives you all the just the understanding of what's going on. and what's causing the confusion. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that screen up. All right. So once I bring that up, y'all type 5 in the chat so I can know that y'all can see it. So let me bring it up real quick. All right. So right now you all should see you should all see NBA's New York Bay Area teams prepare for COVID-19 vaccine policies set by home cities. Type 5 in the chat if you see that. Salam says, excellent, good. Yeah, definitely. I pray the same for all the viewers as well. Brenda, what's going on, Brenda? All right. Nikki says 5. All right, good. Y'all can see it? Okay, good. So I want to read this. I just want to catch everybody up to speed as far as what's going on, okay? Please forgive the ads. So CNN, while the return of the Pack Stadium this year has brought a renewed sense of optimism in the sporting world that the worst of COVID-19 in the past, certain teams must still adhere to vaccination mandates set by local governments. The NBA has warned the New York Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Golden State Warrior that vaccine protocols set by their home cities would prohibit their players from participating in home games in New York City and San Francisco if they were not vaccinated or exempted. The city's vaccination policies do not apply to players from visiting teams who compete at their same arena. All right. So the most interesting part of this, so pretty much you see that the restrictions are mainly in those two places. So New York and San Francisco because of the local mandates, right? And so pretty much if you're going to play against, if you are playing on the New York Knicks or you're a Brooklyn Nets player or you're on the Golden State Warriors, you have to be vaccinated based on the local policies set in their city. However, and this is the first question we should ask. Well, there's several questions we should ask before that. But since we're here, what about this part? The city's vaccination policies do not apply to players from visiting teams who compete at their arena. So that had me scratching my head because I'm trying to understand why it wouldn't apply to everyone. Now, I'm definitely not asking that it applies to everyone. But what do they know about COVID that we don't know? Where it's mandatory for the players of San Francisco and New York to have the vaccine. But if you are coming on the court from somewhere else like Orlando or, Arizona, whatever state or city, it's not mandatory. You can actually come up in there with no vaccine. Where's the logic in that? How much sense does that make? What do they know about COVID that we don't know where it doesn't have to be across the board? Anybody can answer that for me. So that is the background as far as what's going on with the NBA. And then we have several key players that are really speaking up and doing a hell of a job speaking up. We're going to go through that. But before we do that, let me bring it back over here. Before we do that, let's bring up our boy. Where's he at? There he goes. Oh, y'all excuse the ads. Hold on real quick. Let this ad play. All right, so let's bring up our boy. Let me see. So right now I'm going to share a video with you all, and let's listen to it. Let's hear what they're saying, and once again, ask questions as far as how much sense does this make. All right, here we go. Oh, come on, don't do that.
Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving, refusing to disclose his vaccination status today.
I'm a human being first, and obviously living in this public sphere, there's just a lot of questions about what's going on in the world of Kyrie, and I think I just would love to just keep that private and handle it the right way with my team and go forward. together with a plan.
So Irving making that statement remotely, separated.
Wait, who's this? Yo, this is our boy Donnie. Y'all remember Donnie? What's going on, Donnie? I made a video about Donnie last week. You know, he made some statements. He said, the unvaccinated should be shamed and shunned and left behind. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Donnie's been in the news recently, right? Or is that someone else? Hasn't Donnie and his partner Chris, have they been in the news lately? I think they won like an award for being a great citizen. A great citizen. Am I right? Wrong? No? It wasn't Donnie? I thought he was in the news recently, but I might be mistaken. So here we have Don Lemon doing an interview with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let's see what he says.
Restrictions, he won't be able to play in home games unless he is vaccinated. NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is calling out vaccine deniers. He's writing about it in a Substack, and he quoted in this article in Rolling Stone, and we're going to talk about it right now. So, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, thank you so much. Thank you for being here tonight and for doing what you do. And just get your reaction to Kyrie Irving's statement.
I can't accept Kyrie Irving's statement. He's hiding behind procedure here. Either you understand what's going on and you're going to do the right thing, or you don't understand what's going on and you're going to continue to create all this confusion of your stance. So, we got to get that cleared up, exactly where he stands and what that means to those around him.
A source is telling CNN that approximately 90% of NBA players are vaccinated against COVID-19. Do you think that the 10% should be let go?
I think they should be disciplined. I don't think they are behaving like good teammates or good citizens. This is a war that we're involved in. And masks and vaccines, they are the weapons that we use to fight this war. And when you're not going to be cooperative with that, you're working against the effort to make everybody safe. And, we can't have that. That doesn't work for everybody.
What about the folks who say, hey, listen, it's my right, it's my freedom, it's my body, I can do what I want, I shouldn't be told what to do?
Well, that's fine, but they don't have to do that within the framework of the NBA and put other people at risk. That's what we're talking about, putting other people at risk, not about whether somebody feels
putting other people at risk.
Macho enough that they're going to go against the COVID virus, not have any vaccination protection. And, I guess maybe it makes them feel brave or, able to do something that others can't do. That's not what we should be doing here. We should be trying to limit this virus with all the tools that we have at our disposal.
I want to play this. This is, see if you remember, this is from LeBron James. Watch this.
Anything I do before is predicated to my family, for the majority, 99.9% of that. So, it's about the health and safety of my family, and that's what it came down to. Me being available to my teammates on the floor, me taking care of my body.
Do you mind me asking if you're confirming that you did get the vaccine?
It's not a big deal.
Still got no chill, man.
So listen, we haven't heard from LeBron about that since, but the Lakers general manager did say that all players on the roster will be fully vaccinated for the new season. What would it mean if LeBron were to be more transparent about the vaccine or encourage others to actually get it?
Well, I think it would be helpful if he encouraged others to get it, but he has the right not to do that. You can't force everyone to do what you think is correct.
What?
So people do have the right.
So he paused because he realized something. A contradiction. He paused because he realized just how ridiculous that was about to sound coming out of his mouth after what he just said. Let's run that back real quick.
You can't force everyone to do what you think is correct. So people do have the right not to participate in using the vaccine. But if they're going to do that, they should not put other people at risk because they might be become contaminated.
Yeah.
Become contaminated. All right, that's enough. All right, so there you go. That was Donnie Lemon. Yeah, we know Donnie. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he says causing confusion, which I find it strange that they think that he's causing confusion. These players, all the players I'm about to show you right now, they've made it pretty clear where they stand, that they're not going to be talking about the vaccine. They don't want you to get into our private life. You're going to see another player says, he's not getting the vaccine. They're going to be pretty clear. They're not causing confusion. Once again, I found the leak. I found out who and what is causing confusion. It's the people. It's the ones that are in charge of leading this whole thing. They are the most confusing bunch out of this whole equation. You're trying to blame it on Nicki Minaj. You're trying to blame it on the basketball players, Joe Rogan. You're trying to blame it on these folks. But you can't have the CDC says, all right, boosters approved for 65 and above. We're not going to do anyone else at this point. And then have the CDC director come and say, yeah, I'm going to overrule that 65 and above, but also for frontline workers, also for people who are exposed, such as grocery workers, XYZ. So when people call me asking, what should I do? I'm not sure if I'm in the category or if I'm not. When Biden says it's going to be nationwide, everybody's going to get boosters. And then the FDA comes out and says, yeah, that's not going to be a good idea. Let's hold up with that. People are like, wait, should we get it? Should we not get it? When the CDC director comes out and says, you're vaccinated, you don't need the mask, you can take your mask off. And then she comes back out and says, yeah, so it looks like you got to put your mask back on because you can still transmit it. When the CDC director, this late, I'm working on my next video, which is the Misinformation Awards. And so the CDC director, she's running a close, like she's up there. She's not number one, but she's up there. But when she comes out and says that, if you're vaccinated, you can't get the virus and you can't transmit the virus. And then she comes back out and says, like, so we know that's wrong. We know you can get it and you can transmit it, which is why you got to put back on your mask. Fauci says masks don't work. Then Fauci says masks work. Then he says 2 masks, bro, 2 masks. So, I mean, you're talking about confusion. You're trying to put it off on people on Instagram and Twitter and social media and Nicki Minaj and basketball players. It's you. It's you. You're causing the misinformation. And once again, if you want the misinformation to stop, just stop talking. Just stop talking. All this double speak, Biden saying we got to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated, which I thought the vaccinated were supposed to be protected because they got the vaccine, and you're forcing the unvaccinated to get the vaccine so they can be protected, but they're not protected because of the double talk. It's all confusing. You're confusing the hell out of people. So, I mean, to act like you don't really know what's going on and that it's the people on social media that's causing confusion. Nah, bro, it's you. It's y'all. Y'all doing it. So, let's get out. Let's go to this next video, which is also interesting. Everybody good? Y'all can hear me good, right? Understand there may be a echo.
10, the team's meeting.
All right. So let me pull up this next video, share this with you all. So I understand some of these videos are a little long, but I want to make sure that I give proper context. I don't want to take anybody out of the context that they intended it. So I'm playing these videos because they're a little long. I don't even think this. So I'm new to this whole live streaming thing. I don't even think I can do this. I don't even think this video is going to stay up because the copyright, something like that. So this video very well may be down for copyright reasons. I'm not saying because of what I'm talking about, but for copyright reasons. But the other thing is not out of the question also. So let's go ahead and share this video. This is, everybody sees the video, young lady from ESPN with the picture of Kyrie and Andrew behind them. Yep, you all can see it. So let's play this.
Day at Barclays Center Monday because of New York City's COVID-19 protocols, and he declined to discuss his vaccination status or his intentions in dealing with the matter. Last month, New York City's mayor issued an executive order that required New York resident pro athletes that practice or play indoors to show proof of at least one vaccination shot. On the West Coast, Golden State Warriors swingman Andrew Wiggins also not budging with his...
Time out. Hold on. What did she just say? I must have misheard. Let me check that because I don't want to spread misinformation. What did she just say?
Athletes that practice or play indoors to show proof of at least one vaccination shot. On the West...
One vaccination shot. So once again, they talk about confusion, but that is the policy right now. One vaccination shot. You have to have at least one vaccination shot. Riddle me this, Batman. What is considered to be fully vaccinated? Is it one shot? Is it two? Is it three? Like, where are we at on this timeline or in this line in general as far as it concerns being fully vaccinated? Is it one or not? Or is it two? Because I thought it was two. But for the NBA in these cities, New York City and San Francisco, they're saying that you got to show proof of at least one vaccination. But the science, according to you all are saying the science says two. Why didn't it go all the way? Why just one? Like, do y'all know something we don't know that you're not telling us? Why one? Because once again, you can understand why that would be a little confusing. Like, you can understand why people might scratch their head if people are even asking these questions. I don't even know if they're even asking these questions. They might be just watching this and eating it up and saying, "Yeah, that's right, fire them." But that's my first question with this segment is why only one? Because I thought fully vaccinated meant two, but I could be wrong.
Coast, Golden State Warriors swingman Andrew Wiggins also not budging with his vaccination status. His request for a religious exemption was denied. Here they both are.
I like to keep that stuff private, man. I'm a human being first, and obviously living in this public sphere, there's just a lot of questions about what's going on and in the world of Kyrie, and I think I just would love to just keep that private and handle it the right way with my team and go forward together with a plan. So, obviously I'm not able to be present there today, but that doesn't mean that I'm putting any limits on the future of me being able to join the team, and I just want to keep it that way.
Back is definitely against the wall. But I'm just gonna keep fighting for what I believe, and
hold your head up,
whether it's one thing or another, get the vaccination or not get a vaccination. Who knows? I'm just gonna keep fighting for what I believe, and what I believe is right. What's right to one person isn't right to the other. Vice versa.
All right, Steven, bring it in.
All right. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar losing patience and expressing a call to action, telling Rolling Stone the NBA should insist that all players and staff are vaccinated or remove them from the team. There is no room for players who are willing to risk the health and lives of their teammates and the staff and fans simply because they are unable to grasp the seriousness of the situation or do the necessary research. Mm-hmm. Okay, Will here with us now. Stephen A., I will start with you. Do you agree with Kareem?
You just had a biscuit. Here we go.
Absolutely. I'm on the record for saying that. Let's understand something here, okay? And I openly admit to Keyshawn and Jay, I'm about to lose my mind over this because if I hear one more dude talk to me about privacy, two things that gets on my damn nerves.
Two things.
Privacy, and I need to do my research. Really? How long has COVID existed?
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
2 years.
2 years in
What the
February.
hell do you mean? What have you been doing? If research is that important to you, you had the season stopped March 11th last year because of COVID. Restarted in January. That's 4 months. That's 4 months right there. This is before the vaccine came out. But you had 4 months to do some research. Then after that, there was bubble break from late July to October. Then you had 2 more months before last season happened. And then you had last season that went from December to July. You play basketball for a living. How much time do you need to research? That's number one. Then you got these guys with the privacy thing. Well, listen to this. I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. Yeah, I don't have a right to look at your medical records and see your medical history. No, I'm not saying that. But if you can contaminate me with COVID,
I need to know.
I do have a right to know
Fair point.
if you vaccinated or not. I got a right to know that.
Time out. Yo, let me know in the chat real quick, because maybe I'm mistaken. If you're vaccinated, can you still get the virus, and can you still pass on the virus? Because the way everybody's been talking thus far, it seems like the only people who can get the virus and transmit the virus are those who are unvaccinated. That's what it seems. I'm getting that impression, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the chat. Can vaccinated people pass on and also carry it as well? Or is it only unvaccinated people? Because based on the way, if I went on their logic, all right, if I went on Stephen A's logic, everyone around me who is vaccinated for sure does not have COVID, and they for sure cannot pass it on to me based on their logic. I mean, because just think about that. I mean, I guess you would have to question the vaccines or something like that happen. I mean, and then you have to come up with like a term like, I don't know, like breakthrough cases or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there, but maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe Stephen A is correct. But I think I remember reading somewhere I remember hearing someone of importance saying that vaccinated can both get it and spread it. But let's get back to Stephen A. Well, let's see what else he has to say. So far, he's talking about this guy, taking too long to research, hurry up and make your decision, get this vaccine. But also, if you're around me, I have the right, which I don't think that's correct. He's saying I have the right to know if you're vaccinated. I don't think that's correct. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's correct. Now, if we collectively continue to go down this route, we will vote or mandate, or we will give over power to where that is legal. And this is why I'm doing this, because you want to live in a world where people really have the right to know your vaccination status. You want to live in that world? Like people can actually like just stop you on the streets and be like, yo, what's up? When's the last time you had the shot? Oh, 2, where's your booster? No booster. Yeah, come on, get up against the wall. Like, you really want to live in that world? Because if we continue, that's not completely crazy for me to have that thought, or for anyone to have that thought. But if we continue to just let them continue to creep and move the goalposts and get closer and closer and infringe on our rights and take our liberties, next thing you know, that will be a reality. Because remember, the idea of being locked down in your house was just crazy talk at one point. The idea of vaccine passports at one point was just crazy talk, like crazy folks. The idea of mandating vaccines was crazy talk at one point. And once again, I understand why it would be confusing, because Biden himself said, I would never do no mandate. People shouldn't be mandated. Psaki, the lady, his secretary, even she said it. So once again, it's all fun and games right now. It's all something you can just kind of, stick your head in the dirt and be quiet, not say anything, or just be entertained by it, or just continue to think that they won't come for you. But trust me, all of these things that they are getting access to as far as our liberties and freedoms and making these mandates and these first-time policies, they're not giving them back. They are not giving it back. And if you think that they won't use that on you in the long run, or come back next year and use that on you, you're mistaken. Like that's not how the long game works. The long game works is we get you to do the work, we get you to put out that energy, we get you to bully everybody, we get you to continue to be aggressive as hell about this whole thing. We get the bag. So it's called a battering ram. Like many of us are being political battering rams right now about things we really don't understand. But because someone or something has put a battery in your back, you're fully charged and you're just going straight. not asking any questions, not asking how this is going to affect me in the long run, as far as the rights that I'm handing over, the unprecedented things that are taking place. You're just afraid, and I get it. I understand why you're afraid. I completely get it, especially if you're watching the media day in and day out on social media. But once again, I am asking everyone to calm down and think logically, be rational. Which Keyshawn Johnson said something about these guys being irrational, which that's funny. All right, let's hear what else he has to say, and I'm gonna get off of this one and go to the next one.
Asking about anything else. We're asking about COVID and COVID only. That's number 2. Number 3, Andrew Wiggins, even though he could ball, he's the quietest number 1 overall pick that I've encountered in recent vaccinated. You don't go to indoors. And you ain't for now. And you ain't show up. Kyrie is a superstar. Box office. But if the American public is sitting back and going like this, you know what, he getting on my damn nerves. I'm sick and tired of this dude. We out here, millions of people losing their jobs. People have lost their lives and what have you. And you taking this stance or whatever, hell with it. The NBA is a private industry. I sit up there and look, y'all, you ain't vaccinated, you ain't playing. That would be me.
Tell him, Steven.
That would be me.
The privacy issue, I get. I don't really want, unless it affects me, I really don't want to know anything about personal. I'm just none of my business.
Would you want to know if Stephen A. and I weren't vaccinated and you had to come do the show with us without a mask on?
I know you're vaccinated, though.
But I said, would you want to know? Because it's a similar situation.
I would want to know.
Yeah.
I would want to know. But this is what I was saying about.
So for teammates, it's fair for them, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. But they know.
Yes, they
already know.
All right, that's enough of that. So once again, based on the way they're talking, they are really speaking on this topic as if once you're vaccinated, you can't get it and you can't transmit it. Like that's the way they're speaking about this whole entire situation. They're speaking about it as if only the unvaccinated are the carriers and the transmitters. I truly believe that is their understanding. And I'm going to show you, well, I always believe that. I can tell by the energy people have when they become aggressive about this whole entire conversation. But when you hear what one of the guys that I'm going to show you in the video says, and you see the response, it's clear that these folks have not thought past, wait, I can still get it and pass it and I'm vaccinated and I got to wear a mask? Like they haven't gone past that step. And I get it. It probably hurts too much to really kind of think about that. So let's go to the next one. And then we're almost done with the video clips. Then we're going to go into a conversation. So you all saw Kyrie Irving talk about his stance on what he's doing and why he's not doing it. Yo, check this brother out. Let me pull him up real quick. Hold on, wait. All right, so let me rewind this. Yo, these fellas came to play, man. Let me share my screen. They came to play. I mean, what this guy's about to say and the way he's about to say, like you can't get any nicer and more respectful than this. You just can't. Listen to what this guy says. So, yo, shout out to the homie. He's from Orlando. He's not from Orlando, but he plays in Orlando Magics. His name is Johnathan Issac. And they're asking him questions about his vaccine status and, what you're going to do. All right. So let's play that.
Jonathan, Josh Robbins with The Athletic. What is it about the vaccine that makes you hesitant to get it?
I would start with I've had COVID in the past, and so
So he's had COVID. So I know a lot of you all maybe kind of, jump to conclusions. What about natural immunity? I don't know if you heard, but natural immunity got canceled. All right, natural immunity was canceled. The whole immune system and all that canceled. The only thing that we know about right now is the vaccine. So him making up this point that he was already infected at one point and got over it. The media doesn't think, the media and those who are in charge, apparently they don't feel like this is important. Because why is there not a conversation or a protocol or something to address those who were previously infected and got over it. How do you not have something more to say about the default, which is your immune system? Like, how do you not have anything else to say about for those people? Because, you know, medicine is supposed to do, you know, do no harm. You got to make sure the pros outweigh, or you got to make sure the benefits outweigh the harm, the potential harm. So it's, you're injecting vaccines to create antibodies. Okay. But if you already had the antibodies because you were actually injected with the real thing, like you actually had the real bona fide fight, like you went 12 rounds with Tyson and you won, and they're telling you that doesn't matter. You got to get the vaccine. But you got antibodies. You have B cell, T cell. You have memory, and so they're just saying that those things don't matter. They're not even addressing it. And I think once again, this is something that we should press them on, because how is natural immunity not relevant? Israel says it's relevant. America says it's not relevant. They don't even want anything. They don't even want to talk about it. You ask Fauci. Fauci says, "Yeah, that's a good point. We should sit down and talk about it." We're 19 months into this whole pandemic. Fauci did an interview not too long ago with Sanjay Gupta, and I did a video about it. And he asked him about the studies that were coming out from Israel, and Israel was showing that natural immunity, those who were naturally infected without the vaccine, had a either as 10, 13, but it was some span. I think it was between 10 to 25% more robust response to the immune, and also the natural immunity lasts longer as well. So that was over in Israel. I didn't say it. Israel said it. They came up with that, right? And so he asked him that, and Fauci's response, the leader of this whole thing, right? Natural immunity, once again, it's not, you know, advanced science. It's not, you know, like immunology, you know, 1010. It's not advanced. It's day one. It's first semester. You don't have to wait to get the natural immunity, because that's where you start. You start with basic immunity. Like, that is basic. We have to know, how do you think you even got to this point, 2021? How do you think we as humans have even gotten to this point? Like, no immune system. We just face viruses, and come on. So, you know, I like to ask the question, you know, is you slick or is you stupid? These folks are not stupid whatsoever. But when Fauci was asked a question about natural immunity, he said, that's a good point, and we should sit down and talk about it. 19 months into this thing, and he's just talking about it. He ain't saying we're already talking about it. He said, we're talking about it, or we should talk about talking about it. Come on, man. And y'all don't have any questions about that? Nobody, you don't see any problems with that. That's completely okay. But these people become so critical and analytical when it comes to people like the basketball players, people like Kyrie Irving, people like Nicki Minaj. Like, you got all the smoke all day long, but you somehow, that energy dwindles when it comes to those who are clearly not making sense, clearly confusing you, clearly doing a double talk. We don't have the energy for them, but we got energy to fight each other all day long. Vax versus unvax, mask versus mask, you know, social distancing versus, come on, let that stuff go. Let it go. We got to act like adults and ask rational questions, not only for the short term, but in the long term, the future. If you have kids, if you have nieces, nephews, if you just want to see a better and brighter world, then you have to be careful about the rights and the liberties that you're handing over, and the things that you're allowing to take place right now, which is unprecedented. You got to be careful with that. So I'm gonna play this. Let them talk.
And to get it.
I would start with I've had COVID in the past, and so our understanding of antibodies, of natural immunity, has changed a great deal from the onset of the pandemic, and it's still evolving. I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessarily a fear of mine. Taking the vaccine, like I said, it would decrease my chances of having a severe reaction, but it does open me up to the, albeit rare chance, but the possibility of having an adverse reaction to the vaccine itself. I don't believe that being unvaccinated means infected, or being vaccinated means uninfected. You can still catch COVID with or without having the vaccine. I would say, honestly, the craziness of it all, in terms of not being able to say that it should be everybody's fair choice without being demeaned or talked crazy to, doesn't make one comfortable to do what said person is telling them to do. Yeah, I would say that's a couple of the reasons that I would say I'm hesitant at this time. But at the end of the day, I don't feel that it is anyone's reason to come out and say, well, this is why or this is not why. It should just be their decision, and loving your neighbors, not just loving those that agree with you or look like you or move in the same way that you do. It's loving those who don't.
Holy crap! Are you kidding? Calm, rational. He made sense and respectful the whole entire way through. He acknowledged the things that they were saying. I mean, we got to have that energy. Like, that energy is important. You got to have that Obama energy. You got to have that Malcolm energy. You got to have that Martin energy. You got to have that Khalid Muhammad energy. Like, it's important. You know what I'm saying? We can't put everybody in the same box and just go out there the same way. But if you don't want to listen to him, I mean, I don't know how much more respectful you can get and straightforward. Like, what was the problem with what he said? So, Stephen A. and they were talking about, hurry up and do your research, hurry up and do your research. Well, this brother definitely did his research. Now that he did his research, he came to the conclusion that I had it last year. I got over it. I have antibodies. I have natural immunity to it. And when I calculate my risk of having severe COVID or hospitalization versus my risk of having an adverse outcome from the vaccination, I made my decision that I am going to forego the vaccine and I'm going to just rock out my natural immunity. See, you say you want people to do the research and make their own opinions and then make their own decision. And when they make their own decision, you're like, I didn't mean make your own decision. I mean, like, do the research, but still come out to the same conclusion that I wanted you to come out to. Like, that's what I meant. Because that's what's happening. So that was all right, where are we at? So that was Johnathan Issac. Let me show you this next video. This guy came to play, man. Came to play.
Jonathan.
Nope, not him. Uh-oh. I think I don't have the video up. Let me do something real quick, y'all. So what's going on, y'all? Y'all good? Let me find this video real quick before I play it. There he goes.
Tired of cold.
All right, y'all. Excuse the ad. All right, so this is an interesting video. And again, another great response. Another great response by people who are actually informed. See, you got to be careful what you wish for, what you ask for. You keep on telling people to do their research. I don't know if you want to be doing that, because people do their research and a large segment is going to be like, yeah, nah, I'm going to pass on that. And that's what they're doing. These people are doing their research and they're saying, yeah, I'm going to pass. I saw the data. I saw my chances. I know my health risk. I know where I fall at, and I'm going to pass. So this brother came to play. All right, so Bradley Beal. Let's see what they say.
Person you won't see in a vaccine line anytime soon is that man there, Washington Wizards star Bradley Beal. Beal says he is not vaccinated and has no interest in getting that shot.
Yeah, I'm kind of letting that sink in a little bit, and this is giving us some greater context for what we talked about during the Olympics and COVID cases. Then WUSA and Sports Director Darren Haynes joins us now in the studio. I mean, is the team
we knew it was going to be the topic of discussion.
I'm just like, what?
Because we went through this with the Washington football team, the star players, did they get vaccinated? And you know what? I just got back from Wizards Media Day, and I mean, the biggest topic was the COVID-19 vaccine. And And Wizard star Bradley Beal, I mean, he made it very clear where he stands.
I am not vaccinated. No, I'm not.
Came to play.
Do you care to share why?
Personal reason.
Now, if you remember last season, the Wizards, hands down, were hit the hardest by COVID-19. I mean, the team went 2 weeks without playing a game after 6 players tested positive for the illness, and Bradley Beal couldn't participate in the Summer Olympics after he tested positive for COVID.
So another key thing to note is that this guy also had COVID, defeated COVID, and is now fine. All right, so he theoretically should have natural immunity. I know they canceled natural immunity for 2021, but theoretically he should have natural immunity. All right, so he had it already.
Now, while most players like Beal say for personal reasons why they didn't get the vaccine, Beal ended up sharing why.
Every player, every person in this world is going to make their own decision for themselves. I would like an explanation to, people with vaccines. Why are they still getting COVID?
No, he
That's
doesn't.
something that we are supposed to highly be protected from. Like, it's funny that it reduces your chances of going to the hospital. Yeah, I had it, but it doesn't mean I can't get it again. I mean, it's no different than somebody with a vaccine. Like, I developed antibodies for it, so my chances will be less likely now as well, right? But it's still a possibility I may get it. Just like there are players and coaches and staff who are vaxxed and missing camp right now because of it. So
Now, I guess there's some good news. The Wizards are at least beyond the 85% vaccination threshold specified by the NBA general.
So was there anything wrong with this response? I mean, he asked very rational questions. If you're vaccinated, you can still get it. You can still transmit it. Once again, we're gonna have to verify that, which I'll bring on the video. We'll verify it or not, because he might be crazy, right? He might be crazy, and everybody else who's thinking that the vaccinated can't get it, you all might be crazy. So we'll bring on the people themselves who are leading this whole thing. We'll hear what they have to say. But yeah, so he is under the assumption that regardless of your vaccination status, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you can still get it and you can still transmit it. Is this true or not? Is this fake news, or where are we at with this? Not only that, he also cites the fact that, cites the statement that's been being made is that your chances of hospitalization is going to be decreased with the vaccine, and also severe illness will be decreased with the vaccine. So, I mean, for them to call these folks anti-vaxxers or conspiracy theorists, it's just disingenuous. Like, at least you can say this guy, Bradley Beal and Johnathan Issac, you can say that they did research and that they're not just saying, yeah, nah, we're not getting it because, y'all gonna zap us with the UFO, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make them seem crazy, but their response was very logical and rational. And you're about to see what kind of responses they're going to get from this. Let's continue.
Our manager Tommy Shepard says, quote, the franchise is into the 90th percentile.
Yeah, I feel like we need to almost verify something that he said, right?
Everything
Because
he said there.
yeah, because what's clear is part of the reason.
Check out homie, man. I don't know why he's so funny to me, but he is hilarious to me. Watch his face.
Something that he said, right?
Everything
because
he said there.
yeah, because what's clear is part of the reason why there are these cases of people who are vaccinated who then become or contract COVID is because not enough of us are vaccinated.
Yeah.
Wait. Because once again, I'm trying to understand. I truly want to understand what people are thinking and what they're told. So she just gave us a response to why people who are vaccinated can still get it and transmit it. Okay, let me rewind it because I want to make sure I don't misquote her.
Why there are these cases of people who are almost verify something that he said, right?
Everything
Because
he said there.
yeah, because what's clear is part of the reason why there are these cases of people who are vaccinated who then become or contract COVID is because not.
So you notice that little pause, right? Because she lost herself. she's swimming in so much misinformation herself and trying to make things work and mesh together and cognitive dissonance. She's swimming and she's like, yo, where am I going? Oh, okay, let's keep going this way. You can see it by the pause because she was clearly confused. She confused her own damn self just now.
Who are vaccinated who then become or contract COVID is because not enough of us are vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
CDC,
right.
over and over.
Right.
So,
Over and over and over again. This is it. And so
So the reason why a vaccinated person can get COVID is because enough people are not vaccinated. So, but does the vaccine work? As far as what you're trying to say as pertains to preventing the infection and preventing the transmission. Because once again, it sounds like you all think that this virus is going to go away. Is that what y'all thinking? I know that's what you're thinking because that's what you were told. But once again, we're going to get to it. I did a video yesterday. The manufacturers of the vaccine that was approved, themselves said this virus is not going anywhere. They call it endemic. They call it an endemic because they said this is always going to be around, just like flu. That's what the Pfizer people said. All right, I didn't say it. That's what they said. But they said this months ago. They knew this wasn't going anywhere. But it seems like you all think that this thing is really going to go to 0%. It seems like you all think this is going to be fully eradicated. And I understand why you think that way. Once again, watch the video I did yesterday. So let's let her continue. But that logic, that line of thinking that she just laid out does not make any sense. All right. To say the reason why vaccinated are still getting the virus is because people are unvaccinated and coming around them. Well, then the vaccine does not work the way you think it works. Because if you're saying that the vaccine is supposed to be something you just can't penetrate with the virus, only unless somebody who actually has a virus is around. Like that's like saying, yo, I can knock Mike Tyson out. I can beat Mike Tyson. As long as he doesn't come around me, I can beat him. Yeah, of course. I'm gonna win that fight as long as I don't get into the fight. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
someone like Bradley Beal, who has had COVID and is still not convinced that he needs the vaccine, it's clear that we have a lot more work to do to educate parts of this country about how we are all interconnected.
And that's a great reason. I mean, just talking to Bradley Beal outside of the presser, he was telling me his mother and father are both vaccinated and his brother's vaccinated. However, for him, he feels that what if all of a sudden I get vaccinated and now my right arm doesn't work and I can't shoot anymore?
Hey, that's a good question. That's a good question. That man makes money with his arms. That man makes money from playing basketball, which includes running up and down the court. So your legs are important. Shooting, dunking, so your accuracy, your arms, all those things are important. I don't know if you all have heard anybody having issues with their arms after the vaccine or just fatigue, or I don't know. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But that's a good point. What does he do in the case that happens to him? Who does he address? Who does he sue? Like, what does he do? What does anybody do? What is the person who's a waitress or a waiter at a restaurant who walks around like this with trays on their arm, but after getting the shot, they're out of commission, so they got to take days off? Like, who's going to cover those days? Like, what are they going to do about the bills? Because the bills won't stop. The whole, what do they call it? The moratorium and all this stuff, that's over. I mean, or it's ending. I don't know. That's outside my lane. But yeah, that was a good question.
Who am I going to sue? Who's responsible for that? And he feels like he needs more information before he gets the vaccine.
And millions of people have been vaccinated already with no major complications.
And he feels like the media.
What? What did he say? What did he say?
People have been vaccinated already with no major complications.
And he feels like the media doesn't talk about it.
All right, come on. Millions of people already know. Come on. Yo, he's just, I don't know what's going on here, but something up on this table right here is going on. But let's keep going.
He feels like the media who don't talk about the side effects. We don't talk about the side effects enough, and that's why he's concerned. He feels like there's some people out there who had the side effects, and we just don't talk about it.
You know what? I think we need to get a doctor over their staff to help educate him. And this is actually not a laughing matter, because we have people in this country who are exposed to COVID, who are getting these cases, even though they are vaccinated, because many people in our community and country have decided not
Still
to do
going
it.
with it.
And so this idea that
She's
it's a
sticking to it.
personal decision, well, personal impacts you, right? But these wider decisions impact all of us. So
This guy, just be quiet. All right, so still same idea, the same line of thinking. If you're vaccinated, you can't get it or you can't transmit it. That's their same, based on the way they're talking. That's what they're thinking. All right, so let's go to the response, right? So apparently this is the video. I'm going to show you all a video that they're kind of sharing on Twitter right now as the ultimate response to Bradley Beal's comment, which is not. All right, so let me show you this video real quick, and we're gonna keep on. All right, share my screen. All right, so you all, so this article, once again from CNN, the NBA's back. Unfortunately, so are his COVID skeptics. So this guy goes on, he just pretty much trashes all the guys who are not getting the vaccine. And then he goes on, he talks about, okay, here we go. Was a star guard, Bradley Beal, offered up his analysis, blah, blah, blah. Like it's funny that, it reduces your chances of going to the hospital. It doesn't eliminate anybody from getting COVID, right? So this guy says, sidebar, this guy's explanation is literally perfect. All right, let's go to Twitter and let's see this this response that's just so epic. Just so epic. Let's see it. Can't wait. Where's it at? Right here. There it goes. All right, so let's see what we got.
With vaccines, why are they still?
Hold on.
I can explain.
All right, so this is the guy you got guarding Bradley Beal. You gonna put this man on him? That's gonna be who's playing defense right now against Bradley Beal. All right, let's see how he does against Bradley Beal.
I can explanation to people with vaccines. Why are they still getting COVID? If that's something that we are supposed to highly be protected from, like it's funny that it reduces your chances of going to the hospital. It doesn't eliminate anybody from getting COVID, right?
All right, let's do this. There are people in the NBA that if you leave them unguarded, they're going to hit 9 out of 10 shots automatically, right? But the moment you put defense in their face, the percentage drops by literally half, right? And then there are some people, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, even you, that if you put good defense in their face, they're still going to hit shots, right? Every now and then they're going to hit shots that are going to be like, why the fuck did they do that with this great defense? Because that's just how deadly they are. The vaccine is a defensive stopper. It's Kawhi Leonard, it's Bruce Bowen, it's Tony Allen, it's Ben Wallace. And its sole job is to keep the virus from hitting 9 out of 10 shots. Will it still hit buckets? Yes, because that's how deadly it is. We're trying to win a championship here. We're trying to get out of the pandemic, and the best defense wins championships, but you don't play defense.
I can explanation too.
All right, so even though this guy gave this pretty rational, logical, intelligent response, he had to come up with a basketball analogy. Maybe he thought that's what he would understand better. And I don't know. Do y'all think that that analogy made sense? Did it work for you? Did it help you understand? Because if he's talking about those players being defense and he's making the defense synonymous with the vaccine, well, once again, you can still get it. You can still transmit it. I guess the question that needs to be asked is just, what are the chances, right? All right. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right, let's see. This is interesting. Let me pull this up. Check out. Once again, y'all, I told y'all that I'm working on a misinformation award, and she's new to the runnings. She's gonna be ranked. This lady I'm gonna show you right now, she's gonna be ranked. She's gonna be she's definitely gonna get Rookie of the Year because she came out of nowhere. And she's doing a great job with the misinformation. So let me pull this video up real quick. So 14 minutes is where we want to go. All right, let me share this video. And so, side note, this is a pretty good video to watch in general because she says a lot of. It's a bunch of double talk. Like if you listen to what these people actually say, so you don't have to make things up. Like all this whole thing about making things up and misquoting people, you don't have to do it. They'll do it themselves. Like they will double speak and contradict themselves. Just give them time. So let's go to 14 minutes real quick.
Is a real problem. I think something else that you mentioned about the younger, quicker, sicker, I think is a really good point, that with the Delta variant that we now have, we know that a person infected with the Delta variant carries 1,000 times the viral load than someone infected with the previous variants. And what that means is that that person can transmit a lot more virus. They also get ill a lot faster, and so potentially they can infect a lot more people as well. And so I think people who are unvaccinated should really know that they are at high risk, and also that this is not just, I mean, I agree with everything, the clip that you play from President Biden, but this is not just a pandemic of the unvaccinated. This is also spilling over to the vaccinated. And those who are vaccinated, we now know, based on the CDC, they are now able, but with the Delta variant, because they carry so much more virus, they could transmit it to their unvaccinated family members. And so I, for example...
What did she just say? She said much less. She must have said much less virus. They carry much less virus. What did she say?
More virus. They also get ill a lot faster, and so potentially they could infect a lot more people as well. And so I think people who are unvaccinated should really know that they are at high risk, and also that this is not just, I mean, I agree with everything, the clip that you play from President Biden, but this is not just a pandemic of the unvaccinated. This is also spilling over to the vaccinated. And those who are vaccinated, we now know, based on the CDC, they are now able, but with the Delta variant, because they carry so much more virus, they could transmit it to their unvaccinated family members. And so I, for example...
All right, so she said carry much more viral load. That's what she said. I thought she said less, but she actually said much more.
I'm fully vaccinated. My children are not, because they're too young to be vaccinated. So I need to be now careful for my children because of all the unvaccinated people around us.
Many countries have been unable to secure an...
Oh, y'all ever did like long division on your fingers? You get lost, don't you? I know I do. All right, let me get her out of here. So, yeah, she made a statement that apparently, so I won't go because I'm still reading up on what she just said as far as them vaccinated people carrying more of a viral load. But what we do know is that although it may or may not be more of a viral load, we know that it's at least the same as an unvaccinated person. How do we know that? Let me show you. Oh, that's how we know. So, I mean, so vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals have similar viral loads in communities with high prevalence SARS-CoV Delta virus. All right, so similar viral loads. Once again, these folks were talking like once you get the vaccine, you're untouchable when it comes to the COVID. That's the impression I got from listening to them. And I'm sure millions got the same impression, which is why they're battling each other and telling people, yo, get it. Now stop. My body, my choice. Yo, get it. This and that. You don't got a choice. So once again, I found the source of confusion. It's you all. All right. So just in case you don't want to believe that, I know some people they need to see the guy. They need to see the man. Right? Let's go to the man of the hour. Let's hear what the man has to say. Because everybody else, you know, they might be good, but they're not this good. Let's hear what this guy has to say. So once again, so far, when people have been making the arguments against those unvaccinated players, we heard words like you're putting everybody else at harm, you're putting everybody in danger, it's irresponsible, you don't have the right to infect me, you have a duty. These are the things we've been hearing when it comes to those unvaccinated players. That's pretty much what everybody's been saying, right? So once again, it gives me the impression that they are under the impression that only the unvaccinated can get the virus and transmit the virus. which also means that they're under the impression that the vaccinated can't get it and they can't pass it. Well, what does the COVID Godfather say? What does he say? Because at the end of the day, right, that's what matters. Right? Here we go.
We are seeing.
First of all, it looks like Fauci is being held ransom right now. Like it looks like somebody's behind him with a gun, or I don't know if the stool is not tall enough and his feet are dangling. I don't know, but he looks very uncomfortable. Looks like somebody gave him a nuggie, put him in a headlock. Yeah, I don't know, Fauci. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on.
That the ability of individuals who are infected through breakthrough infections, namely vaccinated people who ultimately get infected, that they are generally without symptoms or minimally symptomatic. However, it is clear that they are capable of transmitting the infection to uninfected individuals.
So Fauci himself said that it's clear that vaccinated people can transmit the virus to uninfected people. He made that clear. I mean, I get it if you're confused, because they're extremely confusing. I get that. Let's hear what else he has to say.
And the data that they reported indicates that if you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a person who's vaccinated and has a breakthrough infection, and compare that to the level of virus in the nasopharynx of an unvaccinated person who's infected, they're essentially equivalent, which would go along and underscore the fact that vaccinated people who do have a breakthrough infection are clearly capable of transmitting the infection to an uninfected person. I would hope that given what we've been through now and the number of months.
All right, bro, that's your time's up. I know what you're about to point to. So you heard it from him. He said it's clear. He didn't say it's foggy. He didn't say we're a little confused. He didn't say any of those things. He said it's clear now. We know that the viral load from the nasal swab is at least the same, but we also know that those who are vaccinated can still get it and still pass it on. So it seems like all those people from the videos that I showed you were incorrect, which now brings us to this question, which I don't know. I hope you came to this question. But this whole push, people are like losing their jobs. People are getting kicked out of school. People are breaking up with, family members, and all these things are going on because of the misinformation that's being pushed out there by you all. And by you all, I mean like the people. I mean like the actual leaders, the ones in charge of this whole thing. And you putting the battery in their back, making them feel, deputized to go out and, chastise people about their vaccine status and, all these things. When we really get down to the crux of it, both parties can still do the same thing, which is be infected and transmit it, which is why they told you, yeah, you're vaccinated, but you just got to come back on your mask because you can still get it. You can still pass it on. So Kyrie Evans, I'm sorry, I keep on saying Kyrie Evans just because I know Kyrie Evans. Kyrie Irving, Johnathan Issac, Bradley Beal. If they test negative for the virus before going onto the court, and they are unvaccinated, but they test negative and they have antibodies, what difference does it make if they're on the court? Scientific difference. I don't want to hear about your feelings. I don't want to hear about your emotions and your fifis. I want to know what scientific difference does it make? Because these guys had COVID before last year. They got over it. So now they have the antibodies and the natural immunity. And we also know that both vaccinated and unvaccinated can get the virus and transmit the virus. So if he is on the court with other people who are vaccinated, what risk does he pose to anyone? What risk does he pose? What risk does he pose to anyone that everybody else doesn't pose? Because once again, if you are vaccinated, you can still pass it on just like people who are unvaccinated. Am I right? Am I wrong? I'm right because I just played Fauci. Y'all not gonna go against Fauci, so that solves that, right? So what I would like for us to do, once again, calm. I get it. I'm scared. A lot of anxiety going on. But be rational, be logical, and ask yourself, how does this make sense? I mean, there's multiple things, but for the NBA to say that, if you're in San Francisco or in New York and you live there, you have to be vaccinated. But you're from a team coming from Florida, Arizona, Texas, and you're unvaccinated, you can come onto the court. How does that make sense? Next, how does it make sense scientifically, not fifis? How does it make sense for them to say you have to have at least one shot, one vaccine, at least once, in order to play? Why not two? I thought two was considered to be fully vaccinated. So you're not being consistent. Like, there's a lot of inconsistencies, and once again, you all are confusing the hell out of people because you keep double talking. And so, I just think those things are extremely interesting. Something we should know about. Now let's get to the real stuff. How long have I been on? Let's get to the real information. Ooh, it's been an hour. All right, let's get to the real information. So in order for us to get to the real information, I need to bring us up to date as far as the current status of this pandemic that we're dealing with right now. I'm going to pull up an article. This article is a very, very good read. I recommend taking the time. I don't know if you drink water, tea, coffee, whatever you drink, and sitting down and actually reading this article. It just came out, I think, September 13th or September 18th. I can't remember which date it was, but it's brand new. And it's a really good read. I'm not going to go through the whole thing at all because it's long, but there are two things that I want to point out. Because once again, I want to continue to ask the question of how much sense does it make for those basketball players, which I think we can all agree are elites when it comes to health, right? Like, you haven't seen an obese basketball player, have you? You haven't seen, it's not common for basketball players to be type 2 diabetic, type 2, hypertensive. Like, these are not common things, right? So it's safe to say that they're in pretty top shelf health. Like, they're elite athletes at the top of their game. So right now you also be seeing articles saying, why are we vaccinating children against COVID-19? Now, I'm not here to talk about that part, about the kids. But once again, I do recommend that you read this article because it's brand new and there's a lot of information in here. Once again, they keep telling you to do the research, right? So do the research. Here are some highlights that we will talk about. So highlights: bulk of COVID-19 per capita. Deaths occur in elderly with high comorbidities. Let me make the screen larger. Per capita, COVID-19 deaths are negligible in children. Clinical trials for these inoculations were very short term. Clinical trials did not address long-term effects most relevant to children. High post-inoculation death reported in years, very short term. All right, so the part that I'm going to get down to is, because I want to bring us up to speed as far as the current reality. All right. Hold on, let me, all right, yep, there we go. So when it comes to, trying to identify your risk and how you should look at this thing, I think it's very, very important to start with the data. The numbers, the hardcore numbers, because they say men lie, women lie, numbers don't, but numbers can be manipulated. All right, people can leave things out, people can add things in, and the numbers be correct. So, and that's what you're going to see. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right. Third most deaths attributed to COVID-19 were elderly with high comorbidities. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Here we go, and we'll get down to more. But for over 5% of these deaths, COVID-19 was only the cause mentioned on the death certificate. For deaths with conditions or causes in addition to COVID-19, on average, there were 4.0 additional conditions or causes per death. These deaths with comorbidities could equally have been ascribed to any of the comorbidities. Thus, the actual number of COVID-19 deaths in the USA may have been on order of 35,000 or less, characteristic of a mild flu. Now, this is Science Direct. This is them saying that. This is not me making this claim, but they're pretty much saying that only 5%, and you're going to see the number go to 6%, but that's why they say over, but only 5% of COVID deaths were solely contributed to COVID itself. 94%, 95%, they all had comorbidities. And on average, we're talking about 4.0 comorbidities per death. And so they go on, once again, very good article to read. Let me pull up another part on this article. Hold on real quick. Oh, I already did it. All right, 6%. All right, so let's go. Second, as the CDC has stated, approximately 94% of the COVID deaths could have been attributed to any of the comorbidities these patients had, and only 6% of the deaths could actually be attributed to COVID-19. Once again, that's what they're saying. And they're also making a claim that this is conservative. So this means that 35,000, which is the number they pulled out, was solely attributed to COVID-19. 94% of everybody else had underlying conditions, and we're going to look at those underlying conditions. So I'm only doing this so you can see where we're at and where you're at. All right, because just being completely scared out of your mind and irrational doesn't make much sense. Doesn't make much sense. Let's really see what's going on. Let's really see who's at risk. Let's really see who should possibly think about getting the vaccine when it comes to staying out of the hospital and also severe illness. Is it everybody? Is it the kids? Let's look at the numbers that they put out. All right, let me see the next part. I know I've been tabbing it up, yo. All right, so let me pull up this next. All right, so CDC. So don't sue me. I'm not making this up. This is all from them, which they double talk all the time. So pretty much, this is a weekly summary on COVID deaths. This is all the way updated up until last Thursday, so 9/22, the 22nd of September. And so tomorrow, well, Thursday or Friday, it'll be updated again. So we see the total deaths right now. 672,021 people have, 21,000 people have died from COVID. And at least 9% of these deaths, COVID-19 was listed as the underlying cause of death for the remaining. Okay, so we see that. We see weekly highs, we see the weekly lows. We see the place of death. So we see 66% of deaths have happened in the hospital or inpatient healthcare settings, 17% nursing home. Now, this is the interesting part. So when we're talking about these basketball players, as far as, identifying their risk and, them making a decision for themselves to not take it or to take it, or for anybody in general, I think it's important that we have a understanding of the numbers. So when it comes to death by age, 77.3% of all the deaths from COVID or people who died with COVID were in the age group of 65 and older. All right, so this is a fact, okay? 19.3% of people who died with COVID were ages 45 to 64 in the age group. Okay. 3.4% of people who died with COVID were under the age of 45, and this also includes kids, children. So 22,000, that's a big number. All these numbers are big. One number is big, of course. But we have to look at the actual data and see just where do you fall on the spectrum of risk. And since we're talking about those basketball players, they would fall in this category. All right. They would fall under the age of 45. But that's not all. There's more to the ages. So let's see the percentage of COVID death by you see this one. This is by race. So non-Hispanic, white, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, Black, Asian, Indian, Alaskan Native, Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders. So you see those numbers. Now, this is interesting. So most frequently listed comorbidities with COVID. I'm gonna be honest. I learned something new when I read this last week. It was brand new to me. But 47.3% of COVID deaths, the underlying condition was influenza and or pneumonia. So in almost half of the deaths from COVID, people who died with COVID, they also had influenza and or pneumonia. I thought that was very interesting because that's something I did not hear. I knew about hypertension, obesity, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, sepsis. I knew about those things. But influenza and pneumonia, which, influenza had a dramatic drop in cases and death this year. But I just found that to be interesting. So we see where the majority of these, once again, unfortunate deaths, what the top causes or what the top comorbidities are. So once again, do you fall in any of these categories? And if you do, hypertension, diabetes, what are you doing to pull yourself out of these categories? Are you just sitting on the couch and watching the fear mongering going on with the virus? Or are you making sure that you actually get up and move? Are you making sure you drink water? Are you making sure you work out? Are you making sure that you fast? Are you making sure that you're getting greens? Are you doing the things that's important? Are you taking vitamin D? Because those are the things that are important. Being afraid ain't gonna help you. It's not. I promise you, it's not gonna give you not one day of additional life. It's not gonna happen. However, being proactive and understanding the data and the stats and where you fall at will be proactive. That will give you additional time. Because if you don't look at any of this stuff and you just sit down and let whatever happens, then yeah, you're gonna definitely lose some time. But if you understand that 19.3% of people who died with COVID had high blood pressure, and 15.7 were type 2 diabetics who died with COVID, then what are you doing to get your blood sugar down? What are you doing to get your blood pressure down? Are you still smoking? Are you still drinking consistently? Are you still sitting and not moving? What are you doing? Because I thought we were all afraid. I thought we were all scared. I thought we were so scared that we stayed in the house, we locked down, we distanced, we did 7 days, we did 14 days, we put on masks, we start promoting the mandates of vaccine. So just how afraid are you? Are you afraid enough to start drinking water? That's my question. Like, are you that afraid where you're willing to start drinking water? Because to say that you're afraid and you got the vaccine and that you demand that everybody else get the vaccine, but you're not willing to put down that soda or that juice or that cupcake, cognitive dissonance. You are down for playing play health. And I refuse to let anybody who's coming from that line of thinking have anything to say with me or they think they can have the audacity to talk about what I need to do with my health when I've been militant with my health for my whole entire life. Militant. So are you serious or are you not? Like, which one? Because I don't care. You can do what you want to do. Vaccine, no vaccine, that's not my fight. I got no dog in that fight. And I recommend that you step out of that whole vaccine fight because at the end of the day, you need to make sure you're doing the things that you need to do to pull yourself out of these categories. And you going along with the vax versus non-vax and the civil war that's taking place right now. Of course, I know I'm being a little dramatic with the civil war, but the people are literally fighting the people. All right, not literally. Look at me. I'm acting like these news anchors. But people are going up against people, but they don't know where they stand as far as the actual things that matter. Going back and forth about why you're wearing masks or why you're not vaccinated, like these things don't bring you any benefit. What brings you benefit is actually improving your health. Stop eating so much, please, if you want to be healthy. Stop eating 6 times a day. I know that that's what they told you for whatever reason, so you can rev your metabolism. That's a bunch of BS. All right? Just think about it. Once again, logical. Eat more so that you can burn more, right? I guess that makes sense. Eat more so you can rev your metabolism so you can burn off the food you just ate. I guess that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So push back. Don't just put your head in the dirt and bend over and let whatever happens happens. Push back. Not only against them and their narrative and what they're pushing, what they're saying, but push back for your own life, for your kids, for your nephew, for your family, for the future generations. Don't just take it. Don't. Yeah. All right. There's something else I was going to show you all. So we see where there's one more thing I'm going to show you all, and I'm going to get off. Oh, yeah. So this was interesting. So once again, the point of me bringing these things up that I'm bringing up right now so that you can understand the risk, the real numbers, because when you let people talk who are drinking the juice of the fear mongering, they're talking about people just dying left and right. And mind you, once again, it's a tragedy. It is a pandemic. The virus is real. However, our response, I have questions about. The things that we're recommending and the things that the citizens are doing and the things that the leaders are not doing or not recommending, I have questions, and I have the right to have questions about it. But while with that being said, I think it's also helpful to understand the true numbers, the data, and where you fall at. So now, right now, what I'm about to show you is that the one? Yeah, that's it. All right, so CDC again, comorbidities and other conditions. So this is a list of number of COVID death with contributing conditions by time period, jurisdiction, occurrence, and age group. So literally, this is everything that's been going on, the calculation of the deaths that's been going on since last year. All right. And so what you're looking at is the condition that people had who died with COVID. And they make the distinction. They make the distinction, and they make sure you understand that dying with COVID and dying from COVID are very different. They tell you they only have 6% straight up, 35,000 people who died from COVID. That's what they say. And then they're going to show you that all these other numbers that we're looking at right now are people who died with COVID, but also had underlying health conditions. And so when we look at this right here, influenza and pneumonia, number one, 315,000. I said thousand. 315,000 people who passed from COVID-19 also had influenza and pneumonia. That's a pretty big risk factor. And then it goes on and it breaks it down by age. Once again, I didn't know this part. I didn't know so many people made up that. But I would have to guess that your body, your physiology, your immune response is very much compromised if you have influenza and pneumonia. And once again, like I said, I want to make sure this is understood. My heart goes out to those families who lost people. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we are actually able to learn something from those tragic losses. We can't just have people pass on and not learn anything from their tragic loss. So what can we learn from this? We understand what we have learned, and we're understanding that there are other issues, there are underlying issues that are going on in these people who unfortunately lost their life. And we should understand those risk factors and try our best to move away from those risk factors for ourselves and also as a country. And so this goes on and breaks it down by age. So an age group of 0 to 24, 624 those who passed had influenza and or pneumonia and then the age goes on and on and on. And you also see the numbers go up as the age categories go up as well. And so it goes all the way 85 plus. And of course, you know, the higher the number goes up, that's what we see more people dying with COVID. Chronic lower respiratory disease, adult respiratory disease, respiratory failure, respiratory arrest, a lot of respiratory things. So once again, I would think that with respiratory distress, respiratory issues, respiratory diseases being so highly linked and correlated with COVID-19, you would ask everyone to really reconsider smoking. I would think that, you know, along with the whole mask, along with the hand washing and the vaccine and everything like that, I would think that you would say, hey, look, you know, we see a lot of people who are passing on, unfortunately. A lot of them, over half of them have a respiratory condition going on prior. And so you need to make sure your lungs are as healthy as possible. You need to be running, you need to be swimming, you need to be working out, you need to be doing something that's going to improve the function of your lung. And you should possibly look at decreasing or stopping or eliminating the cigarettes. Now, if you don't want to, that's completely up to you, your body, your choice. You do what you want. See, I'm liberty. I'm across the board with it. But at the same time, to not say anything about it and know that, look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. You saw the total number, right? It was like 670,000 people, right? I mean, I'm not getting the number correct, but look, 315, 255. I mean, you have overwhelming the majority of the numbers right there. Then we come down and you see high blood pressure, you see heart disease, cardiac arrest, cardiac arrhythmia, heart failure, and then, you know, you keep coming down. You're going to see diabetes, obesity, and so on and so forth. So you see the link. You can definitely check those things out. But once again, where do you fall on this whole thing, this whole schematic? Are you in these risk categories? And if you are, what are you doing about it? But also, to bring it back to the basketball players, where do they fall in that conversation? We see the age, we see the number, and we know that those folks don't fall in any of those categories. So just the energy that people are giving to these conversations, what substance does it really have? Like, what does it really mean? What does it really mean? Are you just talking just to talk? And then here's the last thing I'm going to show you, then I'm done. Once again, you know, just presenting the numbers, presenting the data. You all can go and pull all of this information up. None of it is locked sources. I do have locked sources that I'm still going through, password protected resources that I'm still going to. But a question or a conversation that, you know, people have not been having for a while has been the case fatality rate. So anybody know what the case fatality rate is right now? So before I tell you what the case fatality rate is, I'm going to make sure I do my part to explain what case fatality rate means. So right now, everybody should see, yep, you all see it. All right, so case fatality rate. In the media, it's often the case fatality rate that is talked about when the risk of death from COVID-19 is discussed. This measure is sometimes also called the case fatality risk or case fatality ratio. It is often abbreviated as CFR. The case fatality risk is not the same as risk of death or for an infected person, even though, unfortunately, journalists sometimes suggest that it is. It is relevant and it's important, but far from the whole story. So here we go. The case fatality risk is easy to calculate. You take the number of people who have died from the disease and you divide it by the total number of people diagnosed with the disease. So if 10 people have died and 100 people have been diagnosed with the disease, the case fatality rate is 10%. So that would be the case fatality rate. So what I'm about to show you right now is the current case fatality rate. This means that they took the number of cases that were diagnosed here in America and the cases of people who actually died from the disease, and they multiplied it by 100. So when we first started off, the case fatality rate, and so you have to, do you all see US on this thing? So you see US is, I can't bring my dot over without moving, but my mouse is right next to the case fatality rate for United States. So when this thing first started off, 1.86. Then as it moved on, 3.3, which is pretty high. As it moved on, 4.96, 6.12, 5, where'd it go? Oh, 6.2, 5.9, and then we see it's dropping off, 6.2, 3.48, 3.08, 2.88, 2.37, 1.9, 1.68, 1.73. And so we go all the way to where we're at right now, and the case fatality rate is 1.6. And so I just explained what the case fatality rate was. And then also, so in order for you to even be a part, I'll stick to the basketball players. In order for those basketball players to even be a part of the conversation they're having, they have to make their way into that 1.6 case fatality rate. And getting into that rate or getting into that percentage, we see from the data means that they have underlying comorbidities. Not only that, we see that, 77% of people who unfortunately passed from COVID-19 were over 65. 96% of people who, 94%, let me correct that. 94% of people who passed from COVID-19 had an underlying health condition. On average, people who passed from COVID-19 had 4 health conditions, underlying health conditions, comorbidities. And pneumonia, influenza was the #1 comorbidity that people died with COVID. So this big conversation that's going on, the hysteria, the freaking out, the panic, let's look at it from a rational lens and ask ourselves, how much of this really makes sense? How much of it is really justified to make these statements and claims that people are putting their family at harm, the fans at harm, their kids at harm? When we look at the data, I'm not seeing what they're seeing, and so I'm just asking questions. All right, not telling anybody what to think, how to think, but I am asking questions. So that's it, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I hope this video helps you all out to kind of put things in proper perspective. Once again, not telling you what to think, how to think, but I am asking that you think. And I am asking you to be careful about what you're asking for and what you're demanding. All right, because once they get it, I ain't giving it back. All right. So love y'all. I'm holler at y'all later. Remember, this is our community, our responsibility. We have what it takes, and you have what it takes. Make sure you put in the work. Don't just come home from work and sit on the couch and drink beer or watch football or watch basketball and just do nothing. If you truly want to survive this whole thing, if you truly want to make sure that you have the best chance, you got to put in work. Getting the vaccine is not enough. It's not. Where's your vitamin D levels? Which we actually sell vitamin D. So if you want to get vitamin D, hit the link below. But where's your vitamin D levels? Are you drinking water? Are you drinking juice and soda, that crap? Are you eating Krispy Kreme donuts because they're offering to you for free because you got a vaccine card? Which, do the work. All right, fast. Don't be afraid to go hours without eating. It's not necessary that you eat every 2 to 3 hours. It's blown. BS. It's a lie. Try to have your last meal at 6. Try not to eat anything until the hours around 12. All right? You'll be all right. Unless you have a medical condition, this is not medical advice. Please speak with your doctor before making any changes or recommendations or any adjustments to your medications. I'm not your doctor. All right? So let me go ahead and get off. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Remember, this is our community, our responsibility. We have what it takes to put in the work. Peace.